Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to talk about how you should prepare for your first track day and how to do a tech inspection on your car. The first thing I would do to prepare for the track is to look up directions and know how to get there. I know it's pretty obvious, but a lot of people are late, especially for their first track day. So just be on time, actually be early, and that way you won't have to worry about rushing and forgetting anything. The next thing that kind of goes along with that is knowing what gear you need to bring to the track with you. What food, just kind of prepare for that days ahead. And I actually have a video on my channel, if you want to check that out, that covers what you should bring to the track for your first time and when you're more experienced as well. The next thing that I'm going to cover is onboard footage. I think it's super important to know the track layout really well and watch onboard footage of cars that are similar to yours and guys that you know are experienced. So don't just click on the first one and watch that only. I'd watch a lot of videos of cars similar to yours that are either rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, similar power, and guys you know that have fast times there. I'd say another thing is knowing how to have car control or what car control is. So you can look on YouTube for some driving videos, but I would suggest high performance driving books. And if you don't know of any, just throw me a comment in the comments section and I will throw you some suggestions that are good. I'm also going to do some videos on that as well, but I'll answer your questions in the comments section. The next thing that I am going to say is make sure that you have your paperwork ready. So here's a pretty good track day website, and they have all their paperwork all in one section of their website. And a lot of them will have emails sent out that have the schedule and all that on there. This one, I would say, if you're gonna do your paperwork beforehand, and I suggest that, I would do your driver waiver. And the driver waiver is just the acknowledgement that you are participating in a high performance driving track day, basically. Okay, so that was the driver waiver form, and there's going to be one other form out of the two that you need to bring when you go to a track day, and that's the tech inspection form. And that's going to cover your car, basically, the safety requirements that they need you to check out on your car, or the things they want you to make sure are safe before you bring your car on the track. Some track day clubs will make you bring your car to a pre-qualified shop that they have a list of, and they will have to do the pre-inspection for you and sign off and stamp it and all that good stuff. A lot of clubs here in Northern California and other places in the United States, I'm sure, allow you to do your own and have a statement in here that you would read on just basically what you're doing, and you're just acknowledging that you're checking the car. Okay, so we have our tech inspection form. In my case, I have it in my hands on my phone, but you need to print yours out and do it in pen and sign it. That way it's a legal document at that point. So we're gonna go over the first one. We're gonna cover all these real quick, and that way you'll have a little better idea of how to do a tech inspection on your own car. So here's the first one. Wheels and tires. Street tires, more than 2 30 seconds of tread. So that's 2 30 seconds right there. Let's measure our tires real quick and see what they have. Okay, so we have our little gauge here, and we're gonna push down, make sure this little part is flat, and then we're gonna read the gauge. So we're at about 5 30 seconds there. And yeah, we're at about 4.5, 5 30 seconds. So we are good to go on the track. They just want to make sure that you're not being unsafe. So the next thing on our list is a good condition, no cording. So basically, you saw the tires. There is no cording on them. They look pretty good. Look at the inside of your tires, but in my case, my tires would be good. You just don't want to see anything abnormal. All lug nuts present and torqued. Okay, so yeah, they're present. And I will torque them after this, but basically you're going to use your torque wrench. You're going to look up your torque specs. You set the torque wrench to what you need, and you make sure that your lug nuts are torqued all evenly to the proper torque spec. The next thing on the list is going to be hub and center caps removed. So that would be the things that I have not removed on my car. Those are removable on mine. In my case, you might actually have to get a pick or push them out from the other side, but they basically don't want plastic flying around all day. The next thing is engine, no fluid leaks. In my case, there's no leaks, but you want to look under your car and check for leaks. We're under here, we're looking, and you look around basically for any leaks, and if you have any, you need to figure out where they're coming from. The next thing would be wires and hoses secured. I'm going to go to the top of my car here, and I'm going to go to every hose and make sure that they're secured. I'm going to physically touch them if the car is cool. I'm going to make sure everything looks good and feels good. Throttle return spring is tight. Well, in my case, I don't have a throttle body with a spring. But if you do, you need to make sure your throttle body is nice and good. You don't want the throttle sticking wide open. Radiator overflow okay? Well, yeah, it looks okay. You want to make sure the cap is tight and that there's no leaks around there as well. And then battery properly secured. In this case, yes, a nice strap on there. Battery terminals covered. So in my case, I just have the positive covered. So some clubs depend on if they want you to have the negative one covered. I usually do cover it. Ignore all the corrosion there. I'm going to be cleaning that up in a second. Fluid line's okay. Well, we kind of went over that with radiator fluid. That's any kind of fluid, oil, any kind of oil passages that are exposed, or anything that holds fluid, or anything pressurized, especially turbo stuff. I know that's not a fluid, but they do have coolant oil flowing through them and around them. So you want to make sure all those connections are tight and that there's no leaks. So now we're on to brakes. That also is part of the fluid thing, but we're going to be in the brake section now, so that's what we're going to see here. Pedal pressure firm. Well, let's go check it. Okay, I know it's kind of dark, but you're basically going to push on your brake pedal and make sure that it's firm. I would have the engine running, because when it's not running, it's pretty easy to feel firm. But you know how you're driving the car all week probably. If not, just make sure that the brakes have a firm pedal. Fluid level correct. In my case, it's hard to tell, but if you hit the light right, you can see where that seam is. It's dark right there, but you can open it up and also look. Yep, we're good. Lines okay. Well, that's the rubber lines. Let's check those out. And make sure that they're okay on all the corners. Make sure there's no fluid near the lines, and make sure they're not cracked. Pads, make sure you have more than 5 millimeters. Well, you'd go to your brake lines or your brake calipers here, and you would look inside. You would have to take your wheel off and look at your brake pad and make sure you have more than 5 millimeters. Not that tough. Okay, the next thing on the list is steering and suspension. They're saying wheel bearings okay, no play, and steering tight. So when you drive the car, is the steering tight? And also go down and physically touch the suspension parts, put a glove on, and feel the suspension components. And for wheel bearings, this is what I do. I will go to the wheel with my, even 2 hands, I'll go on it, and especially with it up in the air, you will feel the wheel wiggle back and forth, and you'll hear a sound, basically. The next thing is gas cap okay, body panels secure. Well, body panels, it depends what kind of car it is. Some body panels don't come secure from the factory, but well, this doesn't have a gas cap. Fords don't have one, as it says right there. So you want to make sure it has the required seal that it comes with from the factory to make sure that no gasoline is going to come out around corners. Okay, next thing is safety equipment, helmet approved. Well, let's go check it out. It says Snell 2010 or newer. It says Snell SA 2015. Well, that's 2010 or newer, so I think we're good. Okay, the next thing on the list is seat secured. Well, if it's the OEM seat and you haven't touched it and you have a new car, it's probably secure, but you want to go over it and wiggle everything. Look at the bolts and the nuts, and there's probably 4 that hold it in. You want to make sure that they are all tight and that the seat does not move at all. The next thing on the list is that you have a long sleeve cotton t-shirt. It says shirt, yeah. That would be this. Seat belts properly installed. If they're the OEM seats, they're properly installed. You do not want any, we'll get to that in a second, but if they're the OEM seats and you've touched them before, you need to make sure that they're super tight. Again, they're torqued to the recommendation of the manufacturer. And we'll get on to the next thing here. Approved seat belts. That's why I said before we need to get onto this. OEM 3-point, that's good. 3-point OEM are good seat belts. 5 or 6-point, that's good if they're installed right. Make sure that they are installed correctly and looked at by somebody else that's done it a lot of times, because you want it to be super safe. And I suggest that you get a Hans for your helmet if you have those, because they can be more dangerous than a 3-point belt if you have just a 5-6-point belt without a Hans device. So 4-point belt, not allowed. I understand why. So it says not allowed unless ASM certified, must be inspected by an official. So don't do the 4-point belt. If you do, you need to go through extra things, and I would suggest going a different route. So that's it as far as the tech inspection form goes. Just make sure you sign it and you bring it with you. Bring also that waiver with you, and you can bring those in the morning when you get there. That way you don't have to fill them out in a rush in the morning like I see some people do. It just adds more time and frustration to the day. And that way you don't have to try to do the tech inspection in the morning too. There's not really time for that. So do the tech inspection before you go to the track. So that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed and used some of this information. If you have any questions or comments, put them below. And if you can subscribe, you're gonna see a lot more footage, a lot more content like this for track days and racing, and even maybe some high performance driving book reviews coming up. So hope to see you soon. Thanks for joining me.